Welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving a 2018 Mercedes G63 AMG. Yes, another one. You've seen that one on the channel already. So today we had a huge snowstorm over the weekend, so I figure I'll just take you out for a little therapy drive on some snowy, nice New England roads and listen to this 5.5 liter bi-turbo V8. I really enjoy this engine. Everything's currently using that hot V 4 liter bi-turbo now, but this 5.5 liter has such a glorious character. It's got a little more old school vibes to it, and that's why I think that this, even though the older G-Wagons do not handle quite as well, they're a little more tank-like than the current version, they're fun to drive, and that character goes a long way. So if you're looking for some luxurious monster to get your kids to school, this is not it. This is just a monster. Not much luxury going on aside from the leather and heated seats. Always a satisfying click to these door locks and the door handle. In proper AMG fashion, we've got to start it up with the doors open, especially because we've got side pipes. Patrick always loves watching me pull out in something. Some days it's a Bizzarini, some days it's a G-Wagon. I don't think this is Bizzarini weather. Did a photo shoot with this car earlier. We had to do it in the parking lot because it's so wet out. There's really not much chance of keeping the car clean, moving it from location to location. But man, if you've got a New England get-around vehicle, this is it, man. This will get through everything. What's interesting too is that this engine runs super hot on the dial, and I remember the first time I drove one of these G63s, I was jumping on the forums checking to make sure that everything was okay, because typically these dials you want to keep them in the middle, whereas this is like a little above half, and it's at its happy homeostasis, so it is in a good position. But always makes you nervous when you discover, like, hey, what's normal for these cars? And apparently this is normal. This is not a turn-only lane, so as long as we can beat this Beamer off the line, I think we're going to be just fine. Funny, normally you get in these and they just feel like tanks, but because the last one I drove was on those giant, like, all-terrain mud tires, this is actually feeling pretty good. This is feeling very normal on the stock wheels and tires. The roads here just are apocalyptic. I mean, there's there's just potholes everywhere. It's really difficult. You know, everyone loves to play the game of, I daily drive anything. I daily drive my Ferrari. I daily drive my Lamborghini Huracan through anything because I don't care. Cars are meant to be driven. Well, come to New England during a winter and show me how you do that during January, February, March, because the roads get torn up by all the plows. It's not about salt even. I mean, sure, if you can stomach these cars getting pelted with salt, not a big deal in a lot of these cars because they're carbon fiber and all that stuff. They don't rust, but the reality is you still need to get down the road. Tires don't absorb potholes very well when you've got a sports car. Let's see how she gets off the line. No one behind us. Put it into sport mode. We'll just roll into it. There's just such a sense of humor in this vehicle. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to drive a G-Wagon. I know a lot of you guys say G-Class. You say it's not a G-Wagon, it's a G-Class. But, I mean, that's what we call it. I don't know what to tell you. Same way I call my directional a blinker and a handbrake, a parking brake. I call it an e-brake. And I don't mean an electronic brake. I'm not saying e-brake like email. I'm saying e-brake is an emergency brake. And that's just what we call it. That's what we grew up calling it in New England. I don't know if that is a regional dialect, like calling a water fountain a bubbler or something, but I call it an e-brake, and I love the comments. They like lose their minds. They're like, what do you mean e-brake? It's not electronic. No worries. I am not that. I am a mechanical engineer. I am fully aware that there's no electronics happening when I pull up on that brake. One thing I really like about these Mercedes is that the off position of the headlights is auto. So instead of having an off position where everything's off, you just have your parking lights auto and headlights on. So this completely eliminates the idea that someone with DRLs who doesn't have rear DRLs, just the front daytime running lights are illuminated, the rears are not. That's not going to happen in the Mercedes, which is great because I get so frustrated. We all do this all the time where you're driving down the highway and someone has no taillights on and they've got, you know, dim DRLs, but they've got the force of the sun blinding them from their LCD dashboard so they don't know that they don't have their headlights on. It's insane that we're in 2022. We're on the cusp of self-driving cars and we still can't get people to turn their headlights on. The moral of the story is that we're doomed. do surprisingly well on the highway, and they're so like the seats are really comfortable. I think the bottom of the seat is a little more plank-like than it has to be, but man, you could really commute for hours in this thing. It's great for a little road trip. The snow is pretty beautiful, but it's a lot of work. I mean, you got to move it all out of your driveway, off the sidewalks and everything. And after a couple of days after a snowstorm, it's just all dirty and gross, so it loses its charm. But if you are able to enjoy a place where there's a lot of snow, where it snows regularly throughout the winter, it's pretty nice. It definitely like the seasons. I mean, I've grown up in New England my whole life, so it would be difficult to move somewhere where it's just only summer, it's only, some specific climate the whole time. During big storms, though, it gets tricky because when you get big snowbanks, when you're trying to enter and exit side roads, sometimes those snowbanks completely block your view, so you've got to be really cautious. Also, there's no room for people to walk, so everyone kind of ends up on the street. You got to be extra careful. And this good little doggy, no leash. All right, we're going to be real careful by you. I don't want to be responsible for scooping you up. These G-Wagons make the craziest noises because the 5.5 liter bi-turbo V8 has really loud injectors, and that's another thing where unless you've driven a few of them, you think what's that noise? And there's nothing to be scared of. You spend a few minutes on the forums and you figure it out. You realize everything's normal, it's cool. If you are an enthusiast or a spirited driver, you really do need to be cautious in the winter because of that. Because people are in the road, there's not much place for them to go. So you do need to be especially cautious around blind corners. Make sure you've got line of sight before you go attacking a corner. You never know. You don't want to kill a dog. I know a lot of you, judging based on what I've seen recently, just in the country, I guess we don't really care about each other, but I would assume that maybe we don't care about each other, but we do care about dogs. So maybe that's the argument. Someone might be walking their dog. So I know you probably don't care that you're going to bash into someone walking the street, but you may care that you obliterate their lab. Nice not to worry about major potholes when you're driving a G-Wagon. See what I mean? This is tough. You gotta keep your eyes out. Nice to have a reasonably tall vehicle in this scenario. See over the snowbanks. It drives me nuts seeing all these SQ8s and stuff. They put such tiny sidewall on those wheels. The tires are absurd. They're definitely not going to survive a New England winter with potholes. So you've got this big gargantuan tank of an SUV, but I don't think it's actually going to do you much good when it comes to real world driving in winter. Part of me wants to go spend some time out in California for February and March, but I don't know. I really do love the scenery out here. I'd like to actually go up to Vermont and kind of double down on the winter vibe versus escape it completely. I mean, everyone else lives in California. Everyone else has that weather all year round on the YouTubes. It's kind of fun to have access to something that no one else really does or really takes advantage of. They just see it as a hassle. And I hear it. It's a hassle. It can be. But there's something really nice about being out here. Just an FYI, if you're a runner or even a walker, you run against traffic, not with traffic. It's on the wrong side of the road. You cycle with traffic, you run against traffic. So just a heads up, don't be dumb. People are so dumb. Well, that's going to do it for a little therapy drive post nor'easter. I don't know if it was actually a nor'easter. All right, post snowstorm in the G63 AMG. Thanks so much to Bond Group for an opportunity to take this out. Let's not hit the hawk. Oh my goodness. Crazy. We almost took out a bird. That's a way to end the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive and the hawks, I guess. And I'll see you in the next one. Let's not kill this old man. All right.